Hey guys, welcome back. All right, I'm gonna be sanding this down outside today. It's really windy, so I'm not gonna make a video of me blocking it down and DAing it down. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that off camera. I have a few spots I need to touch up, very minor spots. I felt a little bit of a ripple down here, so I'm gonna hit that with the block sander. I think that'll straighten that out. A couple little pinholes up in here, I need to fill those in. I need to do some of this drip edge. That looks like crap. I think I have some more drip edge caulk I can put on it. Obviously I got to disconnect and move the battery so I can sand the wall there. That's just temporarily on there so that I can drive the truck in and out of the spray booth. But overall it looks pretty good. This is a little crappy looking here. We need to get over on that a little bit nicer. Right around here we have a couple little imperfections. So just very minor things, and I'm going to sand first just to make sure that, because some of this stuff's going to come out when I sand it, so we'll see what it looks like after I sand it. But I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera, and once we get it in the spray booth, I am going to do a video today, this evening, and this video is going to come out basically just going to be painting the red in here satin black. So we're changing it from red to satin black, and then tomorrow I'm going to paint the outside shell of the truck, and then it'll get picked up probably Monday afternoon, and then they're going to bring me the doors, and the front fenders and hood are one piece and it tilts forward, so I'm going to be getting the one piece front end, the doors, and the running boards, and I'm going to paint all those, and then I'll get the bed pieces last. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sanded down, get the spray booth cleaned out. I'm going to put paper on the floor in the spray booth because this is a satin finish paint job. So there's no wet sanding and buffing. So I need to try to get it as clean as possible. Whatever comes out of the spray gun, how it looks is how it ends up. So got to try to be real careful with it and try to tape it off really well and try to keep the dust to a minimum. So I'll be back after I get it sanded down and in the spray booth, and we will put some satin black on the dash, and I'll show you what I'm going to use. Thanks guys. Okay, spray booth is clean the filter. I didn't put a new filter in, that one wasn't too bad. The floor is all papered off, ready for the truck to come in. Now I got to put a piece of galvanized steel on the floor right here. I always do that just to be on the safe side. I don't want any sparks landing on the paper. Nothing ever sparked, but I don't need it to happen, you know. So I have fire extinguishers if something dumb like that were to happen. But anyways, this paper, I can cover the booth 3 times in a roll of paper. It takes just under a roll of tape and a third of a roll of paper. The paper is $14 at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's called red rosin paper. You can get it in the flooring section or sometimes in the paint section. It's like 300 or 400 feet long, the roll. It's right here. This is what I use. So basically, if I get 3 spray booth floor coverings out of that, so you're looking at 14 divided by 3. You're looking at 5, 10, 50, about $5, and then about $10 for a roll tape. So $15 gets you a nice covered floor, which I don't think is bad at all. Definitely think it's worth it. I'm just pushing the tape down around the edges. This just gives you a little bit extra. No matter how much you wash the floor and keep the floor clean, you're always going to end up with something on the floor. And this paint job cannot be wet sanded and buffed, so it basically has to be as clean as I can do it. You know, there's always going to be some dirt in it. That's inevitable. It's going to happen no matter what you do. But I'm going to do my best to try to get it as flat and dirt-free as possible. It's all sanded down. What I'm going to do is get it in the spray booth now, and then I'm going to paint the dashboard tonight. This top piece right here, and then along the door jambs, all satin black. And then tomorrow I will do the body, but I have to tape off the door jambs and stuff, so I got to let it set overnight and let the paint dry so I can put tape on it. I'm not going to do any epoxy primer on the outside of the vehicle tonight. I'm going to only do it on the dashboard and stuff where I, one light coat on there. I'm not going to do anything on the exterior of the truck. I'm going to cover it with plastic because I don't want to put anything on there and then get overspray on it, because It's easier for me to knock off some overspray if I were to get it on this filler primer than if I were to get it on epoxy primer. So plus you have 24 hours to cover the epoxy primer sealer before you have to sand it and redo it. You know, so I don't like doing that the night before, because what happens if something happens? You know what I mean? What happens if, I don't know, if an emergency came up and you can't get to it? Then you got to take it back out, scuff the whole thing down, and then re-epoxy primer it. So I'm not going to do that. So all right, I'm going to get this in there and then I'll start taping it off. Okay, this is the hose for the spray booth. I just wiped it down. I usually wipe it down before a full paint job. This time I actually put a little lacquer thinner on the rag. Usually I don't. I'll do lacquer thinner maybe a couple times a year, because I am afraid that if you use lacquer thinner on the hose too much, you'll end up drying it out and it'll just break on you. So it's all wiped down real good. I'm gonna get it back in there. Okay, it's in the spray booth. Now I got to cover it up with plastic. Today's the easy day for taping off, because basically I'm gonna take a big piece of plastic, I'm just gonna cover the whole entire truck, and then I'm just gonna cut open the door jambs, and then I'm gonna tape right along this edge here, because this back edge here needs painted black. I'm gonna have to put a piece of plastic over this seat too. It's all dusty from body work. So I will get this thing covered up, get the door jambs and everything taped off, and then we're gonna go ahead and spray the dashboard, glove compartment door, ashtray door. Debating, I might drop the steering column down. Yeah, it looks like it's only 2 Allen keys. I think I'm gonna drop the steering column down if it'll let it come down. That might make my life a little bit easier to just let that maybe sit on the seat. And then what I'll do when I paint, I guess I'm just gonna have to reach in here and paint. This is the only spot that's gonna be kind of hard, but I'll get it done. So I will be back in a little while to spray the black. We're gonna put a light coat of epoxy primer on the dash and the door jambs and stuff, and we'll come back and put 2 coats of satin black on there. Okay, everything is taped off. I took a little break to eat. Now I'm ready to get this dash and these little surrounding areas painted, and then I am calling it a night. It's 12 hours into the day so far. I had to do some body work and primering on arcade cabinets this morning on my other channel, and then I've been working on this ever since. So this is ready. I'm gonna go start getting some sealer on the mixing rack so we can start getting it to mix up, and then I will show you what I'm using, how I'm reducing it, what kind of hardeners I'm using, everything. I'm gonna turn the heat on in here, start getting it warmed up in here. So I will be back in a couple minutes. Okay, while my epoxy primer is mixing, I'm using the Omni MP170, and I'm mixing it 2 parts epoxy, 1 part hardener, and 1 part reducer. And what that does is it thins it out and makes it a really good sealer to seal up any bare metal areas and kind of just give it a nice, smooth, even coat of the same color throughout. Now this stuff used to be pretty cheap. Just picked up another gallon of this because I was afraid I was going to run out this week. So I grabbed another gallon. It comes with a gallon and 2 hardeners, 2-quart hardeners, and now it's $260. It used to be 130, 150 bucks. So everything is just so damn expensive. I mean, I can't even imagine what the PPG brand is. You know, the next one up from here, probably $400 or $500 a gallon. But what I'm going to do while it's warming up and this is mixing up, we're going to go ahead and wax and grease remove it. The wax and grease remover that I use, I get it on Amazon because it's the cheapest place I can find it compared to everywhere else anymore. I think it's still 50 bucks a gallon, but this is just a prep all wax and grease remover. I pour it into my container here and I pump it up, and it gives it a nice even spray out so I can wipe it off. And then I use these Torx wipe balls. These are a 4-ply lint-free towel, and that's what I wipe it down with. So basically I just go out there and I like to really saturate this stuff onto the surface and let it sit for a couple of seconds before I start wiping it. And that gives it a couple seconds to kind of like pull the dirt and stuff out of any of the sanding marks or anything like that. One other thing, you can use spray away glass cleaner. You can also wipe your car down with this. You're not going to hurt a thing with it. Some people use both. You know, they'll use maybe the wax and grease remover first and then go over it with this. It's not going to hurt it. Or you can just wash your car with this. This stuff just dries really fast, so it takes a little bit longer to do. But you can do it either way. I mean, either way is acceptable. That spray away window cleaner, you can get 4 bottles, 4 cans. I believe Home Depot had it on sale for 10 bucks. So that's pretty damn cheap. So I'll just show you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to record all of it. But what I'm going to do is really wet the dash down and all these parts. Kind of let it run off for a minute. And then I will wipe it off with my towels. And what that does is, like I said, really gets out all that grease and sanding dust and everything else off of it. So I'm going to wipe everything down, and then I'll come back and we're going to mix up some epoxy primer. You can see how it pulls off. Even though these parts have been blown off several times, it still has that stuff stuck to it. So it's good to really give a good wipe down. I'm also going to do a tack cloth on it. Obviously I can only tack cloth it twice. I can tack cloth it before the epoxy primer, and then once that sets up, I can tack cloth it one more time. We're using a single stage satin black Summit. So you can't tack cloth between the 2 coats. Now this whole entire truck is being painted with Summit paints. The reason being is we're painting satin finish. In my opinion, it's a waste of money to go out and buy really, really expensive materials for a truck that's just going to get, this is a driver. This is meant to be driven and just gets beat up, Can always get resprayed again in the future. So we have a hardener here. We have a gallon of hot rod clear, satin hot rod clear. And then we have a gallon of color. And their base coats require a hardener. So we got to put a little hardener in with the base coat. But this is what we're using. It's pre-mixed gunmetal metallic, it's called. And we'll obviously putting this down before the clear. But I've had really good luck with that satin clear from Summit. Seems to hold up really well and do well over time. So now we're going to mix up some epoxy. I just ran out of Torx towels. I think I have one more roll in my other cabinet, so I got to get that out and refill that. I'm pretty positive I have one more roll. I'll have to order more. Get tack cloth out here, actually. Now the mixing system I use are disposable cups. So we're using this disposable liner that goes in this mixing cup. And after you're done, you just throw it away. Let it dry out and throw it away. Now, you'll see me not strain my primer, my paint, or any of it. No, I don't strain any of it because the caps have a built-in strainer. So this is a strainer right here. So this will strain everything coming out of this cup before it gets into the gun. So that'll definitely, it helps, you know, you're not throwing away a bunch of these paper ones, which I have hundreds of them. But I use them sometimes for some 2K primer before I pour it in the gun, because when you use 2K primer with this, you have to take this strainer out of here, because if you don't take this strainer out of here, you just peel it out, it'll just clog up in a matter of seconds because the primer is just too thick to go through those little holes. So this epoxy's been mixing for about 10 minutes now, so we should be good to go. Now when you get a new tack cloth, especially, how I use them is I open them up all the way. Find out where the ends are. And what I was always taught to do is just take it and just lightly fluff it in like that, and then use that to wipe your car down. So let's get this mixed up. We have a 2-to-1 ratio on this cup, and we're not going to mix up a lot because we don't have a big area to do. So we're probably going to go to line 1 with the epoxy, then we will go to line 1 with the hardener, and then we're going to go to line 1 with the reducer. Always start with, unless it's specified in the instructions, always start with the product first. Either the paint, the primer, the epoxy, the clear. Usually that's always the first thing that goes into the mixture. So keep that in mind. You got to clean these, because if you don't clean these off before you start pouring out of them, sometimes it'll drop right in the cup. So we're going to go ahead and get this mixed up. I think I'm going to go a little bit above the 1, and then I'll just continue that through the other 2. I don't want to run out, but I don't want to waste a bunch either. Now, I've used reducer in this my whole life, 20 of painting, 20 some years, and I've never had an issue with it. They recommend acetone, but I've been using urethane reducer and have never had any issues. And that's just what I've done, and I just keep doing it because it works. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mixed up. We're going to go out there, tack cloth everything off, and we're going to get the coat of this put on. And then while that is setting up out there, we'll get the gun washed, mix up some satin black, and then we're going to go put 2 coats of satin black on. So let me get this stirred up and in the gun, and we'll go back out there and start getting this finished. was doing this, I did it backwards. Should have did up there first and then the dash, but it happens. I see a little imperfection in the dashboard and I'm not happy with it. I'm probably going to mix up a little bit of icing and fix this. There's a little screwed up in the metal right there. So I'll let this dry for about 15 minutes. I'm going to mix up a tiny bit of icing, put it in there, lightly sand it, and I still have a little bit of epoxy primer left in the gun, so I'll hit it with that, and we can continue on at that point. But these I lightly primered, and I was starting to run out, but it's plenty good enough. I just wanted to cover the bare metal areas. That's all I was really concentrating on. So a little bit of red showing is not a big deal because the black's going to cover right over it. So let me go mix up some glazing putty, and we'll put it on this little spot right here that I don't like. Okay, I fixed that spot. Let's go take a look at it. All gone. So don't be afraid to fix something small, guys. Do it before you put paint on, because if you don't, you could run into problems. So just take care of it right off the bat, and you don't have to worry about it. So now we're going to mix up some more, we're going to mix up black paint now. It just got done mixing up. It's the Hot Rod Satin Finish Black from Summit Racing. Get it out here. So what it is they make this in a couple different ones. They make a flat, a matte, and a satin. This is the satin finish one, so it has a little bit of a shininess to it. It's not completely flat. It gets mixed 4-to-1, so 4 parts paint, 1 part hardener. The great thing about Summit is you use the same hardener, activator, whatever you want to call it, for all their products, except for their other base coat uses a different kind of hardener. But for the most part, it's all the same. I'm using a medium hardener. When I clear coat the truck, even though it's satin, I always use a slow hardener because I'm painting in a spray booth, so I have a lot of air movement. So you want to have a slower drying hardener so that it gives the clear more time to flow out. If you use a medium or a fast hardener in a spray booth on a big area, it's going to dry out on you, and it's going to be more orange peeled because it's not going to have the proper amount of time to flow out before it starts drying. The reason why I'm using a medium for the dash is because it's such a small area, I'll be able to keep it wet while I go. But if you're doing like a roof of a car, you know, by the time you get done with one half and you walk around and you start spraying the rest of it, your overspray is landing on the first side that you just sprayed, and it's already setting up, so it starts to create more of an orange peel. So hardeners with airflow and temperature are a big part of getting your paint jobs to lay out smooth and nice. So let me get the gun cleaned. I'm going to wash it one more time, and then we're going to mix up the black. Okay, so we're going to go 4-to-1, then we're going to add 20% reducer just to thin it out a little bit. I've already stirred this up, so we're going to take it up to the, we'll go up to number 3. I don't know if that's going to be enough or not. We might have to mix up a little bit more. I know it's at least enough for the first coat, so if we run short, we'll just mix some up before the second coat. I'm just waiting for that epoxy primer to set up on that little repair spot that I did. So I'm getting this ready, and then we'll mix it up and put it in the gun, and put a couple coats of this on. It should be good to go. So I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we will go out there and put on a coat. Now I'm going to tack cloth just the top of the dashboard. I'm not going to tack cloth up top. There's not going to be really any dust up there. So I'm just going to do the top of the dashboard just to make sure no dirt fell from the top. And then we're going to start this time from the right spot, which is up high, and work our way low so that whatever falls, I can coat over it. as far as overspray. Whatever overspray hits the dashboard, I can actually go over it rather than doing the dashboard first and then above it, and then all that mist is falling on your dry paint. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit for about 10 minutes. I think there's enough paint to do one more coat. We'll do all the top first. If I feel like I'm gonna run out, I'll mix up a little bit more for the dashboard and then the glove compartment door and the cigarette lighter, or the cigarette ashtray door. Sorry, tired. Can't keep my words straight. So give me about 10 minutes, I'll be back. We'll put the last coat on. Okay, while that's drying, I'm going to clean my spray gun out. The worst thing you could do after you're done painting is to turn those fans off. Let your fans run, give it a little, like 20-30 minutes. I'm gonna heat it up too, because I want that paint to be hard enough tomorrow to be able to tape on it. So right now it's kind of shiny looking because it's wet. About 15 minutes, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna take a look at it. It should be dulling up at that point. We'll get a good look at what it looks like. So be back in about 15 minutes. While that's drying, I'm gonna change out the paper towel roll. I actually have 2 more rolls of these. But anyways, this is gonna be bizarre looking, okay? And I thought it was too the first time I did it. But see how it's got this cardboard tube in the middle? You have to rip that out of there, because these paper towels draw from the center, working their way outwards. So if anybody gets one of these and they don't know how to load it up and they see this video, hopefully it'll help them out. But I gotta get the cardboard separated from the paper towels here. So once you get it, just go around and peel this out of there. And yes, you do waste a couple towels in the process. Okay, and then you open this up. Oh boy, almost spilled the camera. Now you gotta shove this down in, which can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Come on. There we go. Almost got it. There you go. Why doesn't this want to lock? So there you go. Now you can pull your towels out. I'm a little clumsy tonight because I'm tired, so hopefully I'll get some good sleep tonight. So I'm gonna let that, it's got another 10 minutes to go, and then we'll take a look at it. Now before I turn that off, the dashboard will have a little bit of orange peel on it, more than I want. Not horrible, but a little bit more, because I turned the pressure down on the gun, because I don't want the pressure to be really high on the gun and blow any of that plastic that I had under the dash or on the seat and stick to the dashboard. So I just toned it down a little bit, which usually creates a little bit more orange peel, but once it flattens out, it should be just fine. Okay, let me show it to you here. It's starting to dull up a little bit. So it's starting to, the shininess is starting to go away. It's probably close to what it's going to look like when it's fully cured. I just turned the fans off and turned the heat on, so it's almost 120 degrees in here. But should look good. Tomorrow I gotta unmask it. I'm just gonna leave everything inside the dashboard masked the way it is, and I'm just gonna take the plastic off the outside of the truck. Then I have to remask the door openings, and then tape off the engine compartment, the back, all that stuff, and then get it ready to paint the gunmetal gray with the satin clear. So if you guys are liking what you're seeing and you want to see the progress of this truck, please like, subscribe, share, hit the thumbs up. Any questions or comments, feel free to ask. The doors, the one-piece hood with the fenders and the wheel skirts are going to come Monday afternoon when this gets picked up. And then I got to get all those sanded down and prepped and ready for paint, and then we'll get those painted. And then the bed, tailgate, and rear wheel wells or wheel flares, whatever they are, will come after, and we'll paint all that stuff. Hopefully everything matches. It's all coming out of the same gallon. I'm going to make sure everything's mixed the same. I'm using the same spray guns, same air pressure, everything. So we should be good with everything matching when it's done. If for some reason, maybe it's a little shinier one part than the other, we might have to scuff the outside down and put an coat of clear on the whole truck once it's assembled. But we'll see what happens with that. All right, guys, you have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.